Real quick, I got some thoughts for you all on, let's see if, okay, sorry. Wanted to see if I can rotate that sideways. It looks like I probably should have started out sideways. So there's that. Um, got a couple thoughts for you related to Snoop Dogg's comments on the Lightyear movie. You know, first off, it's really crazy that went viral yesterday here in 2025. The movie came in 2022, and I believe Snoop's comments are also from that same year. But how for some reason the audio was leaked again. I think we heard it before, way back then too, and everybody was just up in arms about it, going on Snoop's page, leaving comments about it on every post that he made, even if it wasn't about the Lightyear post, and so again, interesting that happened. For those of us who understand there are manipulators of society who are always at work, and they know how to get the people going. They know how to get us arguing about things amongst one another. And I do want to address this. It is extremely controversial because there is a popular opinion right now, and that popular opinion is the opposite of what Snoop said. Right? Snoop basically feels that some topics should not be in films that are made for children. And I actually agree with him on that. I think as a society, we really have gotten way out of hand, way out of control. I remember growing up as a kid, there were songs that play on the radio today that absolutely would not be played in the 80s or the 90s. Okay? Not on the radio. Okay? And then if they played it, it was a clean version, lyrics swapped out and everything. Nowadays, they just bleep the bad words and often do a bad job of that. There's a few songs where I'm like, are you even gonna bleep it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, wow, what are you guys playing on the air? And again, there are manipulators of society. They're always at work. This is something that I don't think not enough of us in society understand. And that's one of the reasons that they are so successful at manipulating us, because they know the majority of us are unaware of the games that they play. They're unaware of how they use certain topics in order to get us all fired up. And frankly, a lot of people don't know how to disagree peacefully. We don't know how to disagree like adults, right? Look, we're not all going to agree on things. An adult understands that. A child throws a tantrum. And I see a lot of tantrums coming from 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Some of y'all are way too old to still be throwing tantrums just because people don't agree with you. That's really crazy. But that's where we are as a society. There are people who don't feel how Snoop feels, and they were throwing tantrums. I mean, they were going crazy, all in his comments. And again, I agree that there are certain topics that are just not appropriate for children. Saw a great comment. I've been running with it because, again, it makes a whole lot of sense to me. I'm just going to share it because it might help others who are struggling with it, who are not understanding why anyone would feel that way, etc., towards that certain topic, which I'm actually not going to address directly because of the times we're in. Again, we're in some crazy times, and you almost have to agree with folks or else they're going to bully you and they're going to attack you and all these kinds of things. But again, would you be okay with a cartoon, aimed at kids that has 2 or 3 characters that use crack, that shoot heroin, that smoke weed? I mean, again, they can be in the show and be harmless. The show or the movie cannot address the harms or any of the other aspects of it, because again, hey, some people, that's their lifestyle, man. Why would you offend them, right? They're often just minding their own business, especially if we're talking about weed. I'm not going to get all into the other drugs. Those can be a little crazy. People can start, crackheads will steal, for example, They will cause danger and harm to other people. But, again, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be okay with it. You would have a problem with it. You would feel like, okay, this should not be in a movie or a cartoon aimed at my children. The rating system used to mean something. Like PG-13 meant there would be mature topics in this show or movie, and it's not meant for all audiences. It's not meant for anyone under 13. And some themes that they're throwing in movies for kids or whatnot, those should be rated PG-13. I mean, I'm just going to keep it real, because these are adult subjects. These are adult topics. These are topics that kids aren't always ready for. And I would agree with anyone who says that we don't need to see heterosexual relationships. I would agree with that, because again, kids are not fully capable of grasping everything that's going on there. So there's that. But again, one of the pushbacks is there are a lot of people who don't believe that throwing these things in media can influence behaviors in society. And again, it's crazy. We'll just go back to weed for a moment, and we'll talk about Snoop. Snoop Dogg, for some reason, became one of the most started rhyming and making juice. I mean, these kinds of content. Again, this was kind of where it started too. They started to promote different types of things on the radio. I grew up during 2 Live Crew era, Too Short, a lot of stuff where the content was very adult, very grown. You never heard them on the radio. But by the time Snoop came out, slowly but surely around 95, I mean, he came out in 91, 92, but I'm talking about by the time he really, really everything that he's talking about. And again, we have to ask ourselves, is a concerted push in our society to normalize smoking weed? And if we're going to be honest about it, there, this strong push throughout society to normalize it, to where now today, in many states it's decriminalized. In many states they have entire dispensaries that are selling it legally. So what I'm gonna end this with is something I need you guys to understand. There's been a debate for all of my life whether or not art influences society, or the actual art influences society, excuse me, or does society influence art? And the answer is both. That's the answer. Both. Art influences society, it imitates society, and also society imitates art. And it influences art, right? A lot of artists, a lot of writers, etc., they draw inspiration from life, from their experiences, the experiences of others. At the same time, there are people who modify their behaviors based on things they've seen on television, in movies, in print. All these things influence people. There's a reason that companies put out catalogs for fashion to show you what kinds of clothes you could buy, and use models to show how it might look on you. And it's because these things have influence on people. These things actually motivate people to consume. Again, we're in a consumer-driven society, and one of the reasons it's consumer-driven is because there are people who are manipulators of society. They work at high levels. You can look up a few of them if you would like. Again, I've talked about Edward Bernays, I think, on this channel. I don't know. Not sure. look into it. Maybe I have. But look his name up. Check out some of the things that he did, and understand there's been so many more like him since. It's an entire industry. A lot of people who are consultants with media, their main goal is to figure out a way to help a product sell more, to help people consume it more, right? And so this is a very real thing. There are a lot of factors at play, and what a lot of these consultants use in order to get more consumption is artwork, marketing with certain things in the commercials. I mean, again, this is a science. It really and truly is. And it's just too bad that not enough of us understand that aspect. I'm trying to find somewhere to park. Sorry about that, you guys. Not enough of us understand that aspect of the society we're in. That there are definitely a lot of people who are manipulating us through what we see, through what we hear, and it works. Frankly, it works. That's why they do it. And so, again, there is a legitimate concern on behalf of parents and people who do not want their children exposed to certain ideas and concepts. Again, whether you agree with them or not, it doesn't really matter. Again, a parent should have the right to raise their child the way they see fit, with the ideas they want their child exposed to. This is one of many reasons that religion was taken out of school. A lot of the parents didn't want their kids exposed to religion. So again, it got removed from schools. And so this is not new. This is not something that just started. Society has been this way for a while. There are times when things are happening in our schools that parents don't like. Things are happening in movies that people don't like, and folks have their reactions to it. My hope is eventually we'll get to a place as a society where we mature and can disagree in a more mature way. We're not there right now, and we're not headed that way, to be frank with you. But I hope we get there. So those are my thoughts again on what Snoop had to say and why I actually agree with him on it, because I think not enough of us are really taking time to think bigger picture in terms of just how much adult subject matter that we have just all over society. So there's that. That's that. And hope you all have a good one. We normally always talk business here on the channel, crypto and other things that really related. I haven't been on live in a while. I'm going to start back getting on here very soon with some content. I really want to get into this crypto market. There's so many awesome and amazing things that have been unfolding over the last year and a half. So I hope you've been taking advantage of the opportunities. Something we have talked about since day one here on Top Networkers Group. Opportunities are all around us. We just have to have the courage to go for them and try to make the most of them, while they're there. So look, folks, y'all have a good one. We'll see you at the top.